How's it going, brother?
Good to see you.
The long-awaited end of the semester podcast.
Yeah, we can talk about school, about the new learnings going into life now.
I know, it's crazy. Coming to the end, and pleasure. I have to thank you first, of course, because you're the reason why I got into this in the first place. But what's new? How's everything? How's finals going for you?
It's good, Max. Just trying to finish up the year as best I can. For me, 2025 is going to be the year where I kind of send it 100%. I don't know, I've always just been doing the best I could, but it's like a feeling that you could give more. And it's like one of those examples where no one will know, but I know. And I know that recently I have not been going as hard as I could. And I'm a big believer that if you're going to try, you might as well go all in because there's no reward in half trying. And so for me, going into 2025, school's good, but I'm really trying to just full send everything online so that I can have this life that I want when I graduate. Because I know that it's going to be hard, it's possible, but that's just what it's going to take, because good things are going to be hard. Most people aren't going to get there, but if you are willing to endure while it is hard, that's that. And so I'm just trying to right now enjoy the rest of the year, but also just go full head of steam into 2025.
Damn, sounds good.
How about you? I mean, you're about to be done with school.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh, dude, it's crazy. Well, there was a small job opportunity that I almost had like about a month ago, and it ended up falling through. So then I was kind of going back and kind of redebating kind of what should I do when I get out. And I think I was kind of really between whether or not I should go in to this software company that me and a friend at home started and just go like all in with it, or just get a job and just kind of go with that. And I talked to a few people, like my brother, my roommate, Reed, and my brother as well, on what I should do. And I don't know, I came to the kind of sort of conclusion that I was gonna maybe try finding like a remote job and then just go like full-fledged all the way in to this software company and just try to make it work when I get back. So I think as of now, that's probably what I'm gonna stick with, but gosh, it's crazy. I mean, this semester, like at the beginning when I was trying to figure out like, what should I do after, I should start like applying and start like really get going with it. And then, I don't know, like before I knew it, it was over. Like quickest semester ever. I literally don't have to go back to campus. If I go back to campus, it's all my choice, that's it. I have no obligation to go back there again. And it's starting to settle in a little bit, definitely, that I'm gonna be going back home. But oddly enough, I'm more fine with it. I don't know, I guess maybe next semester at the end of that, you'll probably have that feeling too, but yeah, I don't know. It's a really weird situation where I thought originally, like the whole plan in the beginning was that me and my roommate, he was gonna get a job, I was gonna get a job, and we were both gonna stay here and extend the lease and just kind of stay down here. But yeah, now, I mean, things change and just have to adapt to it. So that's definitely, I think from here on out, what's gonna end up happening.
So let me ask you this. If you could do, ideally, perfect world, you could do whatever you want to after school, you just have to do something. You can't just lie around and watch TV. Like, what would that thing be?
Definitely the software company.
Really?
Definitely working 100% on that. That would be ideally what I would want to do, is to kind of just go 100% all in, like basically treat it like a job and just start. I mean, part of the software company, you have to do a lot of cold calls and maybe some cold emails as well. But that would definitely be like the ideal situation, is to definitely go all in with that. But what about you? What is your what are you looking to do after school, if you know yet? Or...
Like I said, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's this interesting feeling where it's like kind of, let me put it this way. When I do stuff where I'm working with a camera, where I'm essentially crafting a message, making something that could be a reel or a YouTube video where I'm putting more effort into it, that is when I feel like I'm just naturally like in my flow state. It's one of those weird things where you just know what to do, the things come into your head, and you don't find too many things like that in life. Obviously, I love lifting, I love doing, playing piano in my free time, but those aren't things that I want to dedicate my whole life to. I don't want to be a pianist, I don't want to be a professional bodybuilder. But creating content, inspiring people, and just trying to essentially help as many young men as I can, like that is what fills me up. And so right now I'm just gonna try to keep doing that as much as I can, but take more steps to put myself in uncomfortable situations, to take more risks, to try more, because I feel like taking those risks is what the chemical concoction of a successful man is, if that makes sense. Like the more risks you take, the more you're gonna be adequately prepared so that when you're at that position, you are ready. And so I'm just trying to take risks with that right now. I obviously have my parents in my ear, everyone in my ear saying, get a job, Alex, do this. But right now I'm essentially just gonna full send it as much as I can these next 6 months, and knowing that I have a plan B, I have a degree I could fall back on, but that's not what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to essentially do my best and I guess ask God to help me do the rest.
Definitely. I'm actually glad you brought that up right at the end, because I'm actually curious what your take is on prayer and kind of God as a whole. Because more recently, actually, funny enough, I had a conversation with my business partner now, but one of my best friends, my friend Robbie, about prayer and God and all that. And literally, I would say within like the last 3 weeks, I got a lot more into it. And I kind of did it every now and then, like at nighttime, I kind of would just pray and talk to God before I go to bed. But now more recently, I've kind of been trying to stay consistent with it and do it almost like every single night. And to be honest, I've definitely felt a lot better. Like my days go a lot smoother, a lot more, I don't know how you put it, just all around, just it's been a lot better. So I'm curious what your take is with that, because I've heard you mention before in some of your older videos, and of course when we had conversations you'd bring that up. So I'm curious what your take is on that.
I think if you look at any successful person, 99% have a relationship with God. If you just objectively look at people who are happier and people who are successful, especially people who are both, that's what I'm looking at, they have a relationship. And so growing up, I was Jewish because my father was Jewish, he was a Russian Jew, and my mother was German, and she was not really religious. And so I had a bar mitzvah, so that's kind of when I got introduced. But at that point, I did not have a relationship in the sense that I do now. I would go to Sunday school, but I would regret it. I would lament it. I would not want to go. And so because it was forced, it wasn't something that I wanted to be part of. It's like when someone forces you to do something, it's not the same as if you stumble upon it naturally. And so basically I've been evolving since my bar mitzvah at 14, where I've seen that successful people, generally speaking, have a relationship with God. But I've noticed for me that I've kind of just, he's kind of found his way back into my life. And for me, these days, and I'd say it's been a couple of months, where every single day, the first thing I do when I wake up, after I turn on my light, is I'll get on my knees, bow my head, and pray for things I'm grateful for things I'm working on, just kind of spread the message. And then at night, I will do that, but in reverse order. I will say what I'm doing and then end with like a gratitude prayer. And that's what it's been like for me recently. I think that God and the universe, they are very giving. They are very willing to give you, but you have to put in work. And most people are asking for prayers, but not giving anything in return. And so that's been my big thing, to have gratitude for everything, for the struggles, the good, the bad, because I know that every single struggle is building me into a stronger and more resilient version of myself. But I think that for me, it's really changed my life, just having someone on the same vision. And not to say that I'm saying, God, make this happen. I'm basically saying, I'm going to do my best, and God, please direct me, please steer my ship, because I believe he wants people to give their gifts. He wants people to make the world a better place. But it's very difficult because everyone's praying, but they don't do anything. And it's like, how can someone help you if you're not doing anything? You're a statue getting shit on by pigeons. And it's like, how can that happen? So for me, my relationships, it's just been growing. And I feel like personally right now, I'm at one of the happiest stages of my life because I'm focused on my vision. and I have God at the center of everything that I do. So that's a little bit of my story.
Two things that I
Please.
picked up while you were talking about yours. First, the part where you mentioned about how people like pray during certain times, whatever, and I've noticed, and I don't know if my friend actually mentioned this, but it was that I've almost found that I feel like a lot of people will pray only when they're at their lows, and like that's when they need him, but then when they're at their highs, it's like they almost have like forgotten about him, and it's really weird because I mean, yes, like at my lows, definitely. But even at my highs, like if I have like a really good day, I like end off the day and I'm always like I just have like that feeling like God gave me like this good day, or he treated me, or he almost like presented me like this good day. And at night I'm like always very grateful. I also find it interesting because when I usually do my prayers before I go to bed, or I shouldn't say it as if I've been doing this for so many years, a lot more recent, but I always started off with gratitude. I always usually start my prayers with kind of usually things I'm very grateful for, and of course friends, family, shelter, food, and all the opportunities that I've gotten because of my parents and all that. But yeah, I don't know, I've always just kind of naturally, because I've heard different things on like there's proper ways to prayer and there's like not so proper ways to do it. But I've kind of always really gone about it just off of like feeling and like what felt like right to me. And for me, it was always like started off with not even like a list. Like sometimes I'll mention like 5 things I'm grateful for, and then other times I'll talk for like a minute or minute 30 seconds of just things I'm like grateful for, and then I move on to like a different part. But I found that was actually really interesting. And the second thing that you mentioned, it was about because I wanted to relate it to Alan Watts. It was a point that you said, about I think it was the degree, or no, I think it was about God. And it was, what was it? Whatever,
It'll come back to you.
This thing about Alan Watts, basically, he was saying, I guess I can relate this to school because we're both in college. Mm-hmm. But I feel like a huge problem now is that people do things because there's sort of like a reward at the end of it, and then you kind of now just do it for the reward. So like classes, for example, I'm taking an evolution of rock class on rock music, and what do you think most people are choosing this class for? So many people are choosing this class because, oh my God, I heard from my friend, he said it was such an easy class, it's an easy A. It's all I ever hear is choose this elective because it's an easy A. But then it kind of removes the aspect of, am I actually doing this because I'm like interested in it? Like, am I actually choosing to do this? And assuming the grade was pulled away, would I still have like chosen to do this? And 9 times out of 10, it's usually no. And Alan Watts brings it up where he was like, I just feel like the school system has gotten kind of messed up in the sense that a lot of kids' minds are now just wrapped around do whatever you can to get the A, which will then get you the 4.0 GPA, which will then get you the degree. And it's not like, I'm gonna take these 5 classes because I'm just genuinely like interested in what the professors have to like teach me and offer me. So kind of 2 things kind of going off, but you mentioned something before about God that it immediately sparked to my head on Alan, and that one thing that Alan Watts talks about that I feel like we've kind of like lost in education and other things too. It's just kind of people only doing things to kind of achieve something, and it's not about like the journey. And actually a rabbi, I forget how many years ago this was, but a cousin of mine was getting a bar mitzvah and we were all at temple, and a rabbi was explaining, this is the first time I've ever heard this when I was like really young, and I've heard it multiple times after, but I'll never forget this one moment when he was going on this long story, this rabbi. And it's essentially the idea that like everyone's so focused on like the finish line and no one even really cares about the journey. But the journey is where all the stories come out of. The journey is like where your learning is. And then the end goal is just like the icing on the cake. It's like the present you get for taking this long journey on like whatever it is that you're doing. So that definitely stuck with me for a while. But
I mean, I think it's sad that school is a privilege that we have the opportunity to be able to go to, but most people look at it as a burden, and they're trying to do the quickest way to do a certain task, which, I don't know, I feel like in a way, the school system, if I were creating it, I think that it would be a little bit different in the sense that it'd be more based on creating than memorizing and regurgitating that on the exam. Because I've found frustration because it's like, okay, well, if I were doing certain job down the line, if I was doing say job and I was using say material to be able to learn from that, it's not like I wouldn't have that textbook available to me. I would have that. And so I feel like it's a wrong thing, but I've also noticed that for me in school today, I found that my focus, it deviates a lot from what I'm let me rephrase that. It kind of goes away from what I'm actually learning. And I feel like that can also show you what you actually want to learn and what you actually want to focus on, because you might relate to this when I'm editing a video on Premiere and I'm crafting the sounds, adding the cuts. Like, I don't think about anything else. There could be like gunshots behind me and I wouldn't even know. But in school, I'll just be like so bored sometimes that I'll just have these these runaway trains in my mind, and it's like I can't focus. And I think that is in the society today, obviously due to stuff like social media, short attention spans, but I think it also shows that we got to focus more on learning things that we actually want to learn rather than doing something because someone said it was good or because our parents advised us to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, going on that point of short attention spans, social media, all that stuff, I saw a video. It was on social media, but it was actually really beneficial, and I did try it out. And it was one of these old videos of like a professor. I don't even know if it was a professor, but it was someone. He like wrote on the board solitude, and he was like, do this. He was like, sit in a room basically for 30 to 60 minutes with nothing, and just sit there in absolute silence. And he goes like, you'll notice by like minute 25, your mind will just start becoming much more clear. Like in the beginning, your thoughts are like bouncing, like this, that, this. Oh, I gotta go there. I gotta do that. I gotta hang out with friends. Do that. So I gotta go drinking. Da, da, da. And then after like minute 25, minute 30, it's just like bliss. So I actually tried it out in the beginning of this week. It was at the end of the night. Reed, I think, went to his girlfriend's place. I literally just sat on my bed. I put my phone like far away, no screens, no music, no nothing, and literally just sat there I did it for 40 minutes. I should have gone for the hour, but 40 minutes straight, just sat there in complete silence. And all I could say is that was the best night of sleep I've gotten in probably 3 years.
Really?
Not saying that I don't sleep well. I do sleep fairly well, but like, oh my gosh, dude. Like I woke up and I was like so much energy, not tired at all, not groggy.
And you think it was because
early.
of that?
I think it was because of that, because I hate to say it, but I try to not go on my phone before bed, but sometimes I find myself going on my phone because it's right next to my bed, and then sometimes I just find like, oh, one last text or whatever, or whether it's a text or a video or something that I'm finishing up, I'm still looking at the screen. So having that like 40-minute window of just doing nothing, not even like folding laundry, not brushing your teeth, like just sit and do nothing. And after that, once the 40 minutes was up, I went, brushed my teeth, got into bed, and knocked right out. Highly recommend. It was probably one of the greatest videos I think I've ever like taken and actually like applied in that moment. And oh my God, it worked. It worked wonders. And I think it's really good too, because I've realized while sitting there, because after a while your thoughts kind of go, oh, like, all right, when is this over or whatever.
I could be doing something
Yeah,
better.
exactly. One of the thoughts that popped in my head was like, wow, like I never sit in absolute silence ever. Like I'm always distracted by something, whether I'm like doing something, I'm doing work at the computer, I'm watching a podcast, I'm watching a YouTube video, maybe I'm scrolling on shorts for a little bit, but like my brain is always occupied by something. And I'm never just like sitting there, and the only time your brain's ever sitting there in absolute silence is when you're going to sleep. But I mean, I don't know if you really would count that as being like awake and doing nothing. So highly recommend.
It's kind of like the idea of getting rid of all the emails in your mailbox so that it's just clear, it's empty. Because think about it, we're always, like you said, going through our life so quick I don't like to say this, but it happens sometimes where you won't just be driving, you'll be driving and listening to music. and you'll be driving, listening to music, and responding to a text at the same time. And your brain inside your head is like, what the fuck is going on? I thought we were driving and focused on the road. You could die. Like, all this stuff is happening. So I think finding the boredom, one thing that I always believe is that creative breakthroughs come at times of mental boredom. And I feel like we aren't creative, most of us today, because we don't have boredom. And you probably had some thoughts while you were sitting there doing nothing. You're like, oh, this is a different way to look at the world, or I haven't thought about this from this point of view. You know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I actually, now that you say that, he did mention in the video that certain thoughts that like you've had earlier on in the day, like a lot of like answers will be, I don't know, he was going a little bit too philosophical. I didn't really experience like that craziness about it, but he was like, oh, all the answers will come to you, whatever, by like the 40-minute mark or 30-minute mark or whatever it was. But yeah, I think I've noticed you think a lot more clearly, and like you don't get so like, you don't like juggle so many things at once, and it's just a little bit more clear. That also with slight like attention spans, like just not having good attention, I've also noticed that, I'm not gonna say that I do this because I've probably done it, like last semester I did it for a little bit, but I definitely stopped it. There was another thing where, to help with focus, I'm like, so like, I love trying to find like these little like biohack things or whatever. But you find like one point, so like find like the edge of like that spoon over there, or maybe like a part in the cable and that wire over there, and just like stare at it for like 120 seconds. Just like stare at it. Don't move your eyes anywhere else besides that point. And it's like, whatever. Some studies have shown that it like helps with like focus, because it kind of gets your mind centralized in like one thing. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of like weird things. Social media is a weird place. You find a lot of weird things. You can go from that to then some dude ripping around in a Lamborghini, driving around, to another Sam Colder, maybe a little short. Some of his videos have been popping up now.
He's the GOAT.
Yeah, some sick clips of him. And then there's the occasional quote from Chris Williamson. It's always him in like some like really dark, like calming like sound, and it's like him saying something with his accent. It's like, it's always so soothing. But
dude, I think that my biggest disadvantage to me being on a podcast is that I don't have an English accent. Because I think when you have an English accent, 20 times more enjoyable to listen to.
I think my friend Reed brought this up the other day, but he was like, he pulled up like a video, and I think it was like an American accent. He goes, I don't know what it is, but it's like, if you tell me 5 + 5 is 10 with like an American accent, like not literally, but like something like that, like a fact or something, I should be like, all right. If it's like an English accent or like a British accent, I'm like, oh, dude, like he's definitely right. I don't know what it is. It's just like, they come off so much more like they know what they're talking about.
Well, it's just because we don't have that here. It's like anything in abundance has no value. And if you take an English accent, meaning like UK and the US, it's rare, which makes it cool. But if you have a basic American accent, which is no accent in the UK, people look at you and be like, oh my God, are you from the US? And so it's all about the place and the condition you're currently in. And I think that's I think that's a cool thing to tap into, because oftentimes it's about differentiating yourself from the surroundings, because it's like, if you want to go to a place most people aren't going to go, well, do something different. And that's totally not related to accents, but that's what my mind's thinking. All right, Max, I'm wondering, what does your morning routine look like these days?
My morning routine? Well, I try to start it fairly early. Well, actually, I should start by saying I definitely believe in the idea of like a circadian rhythm. And, well, I mean, I think it's just like scientifically proven or whatever. So I try to wake up at like the same time every day, although with finals week and all this, it's kind of fallen off a little bit. But I definitely try to wake up same time every morning, which is usually like 8 o'clock, 8:30, I'll say, something like that. No phone, to the shower, just to kind of rinse off long hair. So I like to rinse it off, brush my teeth. Yeah. Brush my teeth in my room. I get dressed. I usually try to lay out my outfit, so it's one less thing I have to think about in getting ready. And then what else? I usually will either go downstairs, get a nice little cup of coffee or something, or maybe I'll make it here. and then that's usually it, to be honest. I just try to get straight into it after that. I don't usually do anything like too crazy. I don't know. I never really. There was at one point where I kind of believed in this like long kind of morning routine. I'd do this, I'd do that, and do this. I have tried to kind of bring back journaling and try to start my mornings off with that, either some gratitude or kind of writing down my goals and whatnot. But if I'm not doing that, it's usually just straight into work. What's your morning routine like?
So I've been on the same morning routine, I'd say 6 months. I've probably missed 3 days in that time. When I compare going to bed early and going to bed at a normal or later time, when you start your day early, for me, that's the most magical time, because being up, being awake, on your mission, on your purpose when the world is asleep, like that is a very powerful thing. Because if you think about it, there's so much stimulation, and I just have noticed when I started early, that's when I feel my best. And so usually what that means is starting at about 6 a.m. Now, because I go to bed at about 9, that'll mean between 5 and 6 a.m. That's usually when I wake up, just naturally. I don't believe in like setting alarms because I'm up early and I want my body to rest. I want I think it's your adenosine to be as low as possible so you're not groggy. I'll wake up. First thing I'll do is turn on my light, pray. I will take off my blackout curtains because I'm a big fan of not having light shining in. I will brush my teeth. I will down one full of these water bottles with some electrolytes to be able to get my body going. And I'll do that on the balcony actually, so I get a little bit of morning sunlight, so I kind of couple 2 birds with 1 stone. That's kind of the thing that's the same every single day. Now, if I am going to the gym, that's when I make my meal. I'll just start with some eggs, maybe a little bit of fruit and honey. But on my days like today where I'm not working out, I will actually fast till about 12 or 1, which is hard when you are eating early and then not eating early. But I love the fasting, clear, cognitive state of mind. I feel like when I'm doing that, I'm as competent as I can be in anything that I'm doing. And so I do that on my rest days, but I think it's important to start the day the same way. I don't check my phone probably until 30 minutes after I wake up, and I'll look on like missed phone calls to be number 1. But I don't know, Max, like for me, I don't check my phone in the morning because I just don't want to start my morning with something that is external. I want to start my morning how I'm doing it. And if I'm starting my day with everything that's, systematic and planned, it's like stacking dubs that just continue to roll into the day. Now, that's not to say that I can't mix it up, or if I miss something, I will be like lost in the sauce. That's just to say that I feel like when we're on routine as humans, like we feel our best. When you're on a routine, going to the gym, eating, sleeping, like that's when I feel my best. I mean, you've probably noticed something similar for yourself.
Definitely. The not eating until like 12 or whatever it is, like now, aside from like a little breakfast here and there, I mostly just, at least during school, like when I had classes, I probably wouldn't eat my first meal until like the afternoon, like after 12, after 1, after 2. And I've noticed like your brain, like the clarity that I get from it is I just think so much more clearly.
It takes a while, but once you get over that hump, I feel like.
Yeah, there was actually one time when I was trying it last semester or 2 semesters ago, and I got like really like, I don't want to say sick, but like by the probably 3-4 o'clock in the day, like this one day I ended up pushing it like a little bit, I guess, too far for me. And dude, my stomach got like so achy and bad. I ended up going to Rice to get a meal, and I just remember sitting there. I remember it so clearly. I was sitting there like eating, and I just like, oh dude, I looked like a train wreck. It was so bad. I ended up calling Ronit, my old roommate, and I was like, dude, like, I'll pay for your Uber. Like, you have to like, or like, just please come here. Like, I need you to come here like now. I was like, I do not like feel good at all. Not like I'm gonna throw up or anything. I just felt so sick to my stomach, like just not feeling good. Long story short, he ended up finding his way here. I don't know if he took the train or whatever. And he was like, whoa, dude, you look like so pale, like whatever. And I was like, oh, dude, I feel like awful.
Were you drinking water?
Yes, I couldn't tell you how much water I've drinking up in that point. That I don't remember, but
because when you say that, what I think is that you probably had coffee in the morning, and what coffee does is it restricts your blood vessels, and it actually dehydrates you, because caffeine is for simple terms, it dehydrates you. And so I'm just thinking, because a lot of people start the day with coffee, but then they don't drink water, which you need to be able to drink some water after it, or else you'll probably feel like crap.
Yeah. Actually, I did forget to add in for my morning routine. Now that you just sparked the thought into my head. 2 glasses of water every single morning.
Hell yeah.
Always fill up the glass all the way, drink it one more time all the way, drink it, and then, not saying that that's like my water for the day, obviously, but that's usually how I get started. But now going back, I probably did have water throughout the day, maybe not as much as I probably should have. But yeah, I ended up driving home. I felt a little bit better after like basically force feeding myself. Once we got back, I like laid down, ended up being fine or everything. But after that, I stopped doing it for like a while, and I was like, I'll just have my 3 meals and then that's it, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then over time, I think I started doing it again. And that time, like pretty much for this entire semester, occasionally I have something in the morning, but usually at like 12 o'clock, I'll maybe eat something. But that's usually like my first meal, 12, 1. And I have not had any issues since. And maybe it's because I'm drinking a lot more water now. But yeah, I usually don't get that anymore. But I don't know if you feel that same thing, but like the clarity in your head, like oh my gosh, like I just think so much more clearly. And there has been times where I've eaten like really heavy breakfast, and like after that I was like, oh dude, like I need to like sit down. I can't like do anything. Like I gotta like give a moment and not do anything. And it was just like never like the best feeling, I guess. But yeah, so I stopped eating breakfast for the most part. But
You know, one thing that I've been wanting to do is a 72-hour fast, because once you hit 72 hours, your entire immune system reboots itself. And I was actually very close, because I was getting my wisdom teeth removed, right? And I was like telling my mom how this is I have this perfect plan schemed, because I get my wisdom teeth removed. I can't eat for a while anyway. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to eat 10,000 calories the day before. I'm going to film a YouTube video, whatever. And then I'm going to go on a 3-day, 72-hour fast. Now, of course, the pills that I needed to take to reduce the pain and inflammation needed food. So I couldn't do this, but it's one thing that I've been really trying to do. I feel like for me, the most I've ever gotten is 22 hours. Like I've almost done a full day, and it's like morning's tough, and then you get some coffee, some water, it's fine. Like it doesn't take that much to keep going. But yeah, maybe we should do a 72-hour fast challenge one time.
hey man, I was trying to think to like what has been the longest amount of time I've taken without eating food. I actually think it was this semester, and I think my first it was kind of a cheat though, because I think I had like maybe it was like a banana or something. But my first like actual meal I think was at like 7:30, 8 p.m.
Wow.
And that was a long day. But I didn't really think about it though. Like even coffee helps a lot, especially if you drink enough water. Usually I like to say that it doesn't really like hinder, although like, you get like a little hungry or whatever at some point, but usually it can push past it as long as like you're drinking enough water and with the help of some coffee.
Of course.
I've been able to push past and get pretty far. And it sounds like, I feel like anytime like you say that to like someone, I feel like it's like, oh my God, you're like malnourishing yourself, and it's like you're not even eating. But no, like there's people that go, I think you can go like, there's people that do like a whole week fast.
Yeah, fasting is really good for you.
Yeah,
like
so
really good for you.
I don't know.
I mean, think about it like this. I can't talk. Think about it like this. If your body is a system, you want your system to basically get input and perform, and then have periods of rest. Well, when you're always shoveling food and nutrients into your stomach, and as a lot of us like gym people are, it's good, but your body becomes like slow and lethargic to it, because it's like always getting inputs. But when you fast, your body has a chance to clear itself out, to rebuild its cells, to come back stronger, and then it uses that fuel to be able to help you in whatever you're doing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I hate to like bring back like older times, but like I feel like if you go back and like hunters and gatherers, like, I mean, they weren't waking up eating a nice fat breakfast and then a fat lunch and then a fat dinner. Like they wake up and they hunt the entire day, and it's just, you kind of don't eat until like the day's over, and it's like you've done what you set out to do for the day, and then it's almost like your prize, like now you get to eat.
And it tastes a lot better when you've been fasting for 20 hours.
Yep.
Even things that might not be as pleasant otherwise.
Yeah. And also, funny enough, it's like you go the entire day, you're like, oh my God, like I need to like eat something. And then you end up like not even eating as much as like you set out to eat.
Yeah.
But no, I'd find that so funny. There's always like those like little things I feel like that, I feel like now more than like ever. Like I remember, maybe I just wasn't exposed to it a lot when I was younger, but I feel like in high school, like this stuff never like existed. Like obviously it did, but it was just never like widely talked about. And then with like TikTok and Instagram, and it's like now all these people are like trying to figure out like these different, I feel like people have become so much more like analytical about things. And it's like, at least I've noticed like our generation, like I feel like a lot of people where it's like, they want to learn about like steaks, like let's say, because I just got a New York strip today. And they're like, oh, I can go to the supermarket and get like a steak, and it's like, like I wonder, but this steak has like some additives in it, or this has like some preserve. And then I feel like so many people go down like these deep rabbit holes of like, where can you find like the absolute like most top quality steak on planet Earth? That's not like A5 or whatever, but like quality, like farm raised, farm to table, like stuff or whatever. And I just feel like so many like Solbra, I just feel like it's like craziness, like how much research some of these people do into like very specific things. Like I know for one, he had a video of like anywhere he travels, he carries like this shower head, this like special shower head that like filters out the water like multiple times, gets all of like the chlorine, calcium, lead, like all the stuff that would be in like a shower head, like tap water, I guess if you will.
Like the fluoride too?
Yeah, fluoride, yeah. And then everywhere he goes, like that's something that goes in his luggage bag. Like when have you ever like seen someone carry a shower head with them when they travel? Like it's such like a different era now. I don't know. It's so different now with how people take like their health seriously, which is a great thing, I think. But yeah, I don't know. Is there any like weird things that you would say? Well, I guess your water filtration system in your apartment, if you want to talk about that.
I mean, tap water in Miami is just not to the quality. Like Miami, statistically speaking, we're not talking about like Flint, Michigan, but like the water here is just not good. And I mean, our body, if you think about its core, the main derivative in our body is water. And so for me, it was a no-brainer to invest some money into something that would actually save me more than buying all this like amazing Mountain Valley water. But that's been something that I've invested in. I mean, I feel like the world is more unhealthy than they've ever been in terms of like people, they're less competent in like doing certain things, but we also have the ability to have all this research to be able to find ways to improve our lives, to make us feel better. And it's like confusing why people go all in, but I've noticed like when you start and you just see the baseline increase, it's like, okay, if I did a little bit, how would I feel if I go even more? And if I go from 10% in to 40% in? And so, I mean, yeah, I think that's definitely enjoyable, and it's like you feel so good that why would you want to go back?
Yeah, definitely. I think all it takes, I mean, I can almost relate this to like fitness too. I feel like even in like the past sometimes, like I've had some of my, like very few of my friends, I guess some of them maybe in Miami, like some kids that I've met over the years, and it's like about like getting into fitness. At least for me, if I ever get like out of the groove and I'm not maybe I'm not going, I'm taking breaks off or whatever, or taking days off. I've always noticed that if I just go consistently for, I think it was like a week or 2 weeks, that's it. I'm already locked like back in. If I like lose it and I don't go for a week or 2 weeks, maybe I'm like on vacation or something like that, and whatever, I can't seem to get a good workout in. When I like come back, if I just dedicate like 1 week or 2 weeks to something, it's like I'm fully locked in. And I feel like that also applies to like other things too. I just feel like if you can just manage to like stay consistent with certain things and just like, okay, just do this for like X amount of times, and just like every single day, just keep doing it. And then I feel like it doesn't really take as much time as people think it is. Like I feel like people think I want to start eating healthier, and I feel like they'll start doing it, but then it's like, oh, I have to do this for 5 years in order to be able to be consistent with it. But I really do think all it takes is like just a couple of weeks of like true 100% consistency with anything that you're trying to pick up. And at least for me, I guess this works. But after that point, it's locked in, and that's it. And it's only a matter of something disrupting that, like a vacation or maybe you're moving or something big in your life that's like, I guess, happening, or if you will, to break that up. But other than that, I feel like it stays relatively consistent. But I guess actually, I would like to ask this for you too. How long did it take for you to get like really consistent in the gym? So like not just going like a couple days during the week, but like what was that point where it was like, okay, like I'm going Monday through like Friday, Monday through Saturday, Monday through Sunday, whatever it is. Like, what was that point for you?
I mean, I don't know if this is just the way I'm wired, but like I've always had such a tough time doing something but not going 100%. Because like I said before at the start of this discussion, like I just don't see the point if you're not going to go all in. And so back then when I was a 100-pound kid in high school going with my friend Brandon to the gym, it's like we were there after school, we drank some pre-workout in the parking lot, and we were there to like get better. It's like, why would we not like go physically as hard as we could? Why would we not push each other? Why would we not try to add a little more weight than last time? And if we're going to the gym, well, I might as well try to get sleep, and I might as well try to eat some food with protein. And so it's literally been the entire time since I was 15, and I'm about to be 22 now. So it's been almost 7 years of literally between 4 and 6 days a week of eating 3 to 4, even 5 meals a day, of getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Like the amount of days that I've missed in the last 5 years have probably been under 2 weeks in terms of like not being on top of everything as much as I could be. But I've never missed a day in the gym when I said I was going to go, even if I had a headache, like, you know,
yeah,
boo-hoo, you got a headache. If I was going to go to the gym and I had it planned, I'm going to do it because I know that this is a tough decision and I might feel like shit, but well, I'm going to feel like shit down the line and I'm probably going to have to do something. And so I'm just going to do it anyways because sometimes it's like that.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this, Max, that at the beginning, it was every single day trying to do like 4 sets of everything. Mm-hmm. And now it's 4 or 5 days a week, 2 sets as hard as I can. Because, I feel like sometimes less is more. But you got to be able to go hard with if it is less.
Yeah. Definitely also, at least back then. Now I feel like I'm more just training to kind of stay fit, maybe grow like a little bit, but not like anything like too crazy.
Do you want to at some point be like a bodybuilder when you were starting? Because I feel like we all probably had that idea.
No one's gonna believe me, but I wasn't a day one Larry Wheels watcher, but I watched that dude when he had like tens of thousands, not millions what he has now, tens of thousands. I used to watch his video. That used to be like my like the idea of like person scrolling on like short form whatever for like hours. That was me just watching Larry Wheels videos. I don't know what it was. I just had such an entertainment watching like this massive dude just working out. Don't even know why, but obviously come fast forward to 2024 now going to 2025. Clearly a lot of people like watching workouts, so because obviously it became huge. But back then, I don't know, it was really weird because I started watching him. I was already going to the gym at that point, but then when I started watching him, for some reason, I kind of just really felt like, kind of onto your point of like, I never really thought of the idea of going to like be fit because of all these bodybuilders I was watching. I was like, if I'm going to go to the gym, I'm just going to go because I want to be a bodybuilder, powerlifter. So I would take it like on that level where I would kind of go and like, okay, Larry Wheels is doing like this X, Y, and Z or whatever. And I would like some other bodybuilders, so like Sadiq Hadsovic, he works out at my gym back at home. Yeah. I've gotten meal plans from him and I like even did like the math to see like, okay, because obviously we're completely two different people, but I was like, okay, if he's eating, I don't know, whatever, if he's eating X amount of grams of protein or X amount of calories a day, what would be like for my weight, my height, like what would be my numbers, and I would like copy that and try to like stick to the meal plans. And for like a good amount of like the better of like maybe 2 years, I was like trying to like, not to the point where I wanted to go on stage and like, you know what I mean, for like the physique and stuff like that, but just kind of wanted to be like a bodybuilder, if you will. And then as the years kind of went on, I used to work out. I worked out with him like once, but he's a good friend of mine and I see him at the gym. Huge dude. His name is Josh, and he's like got to be 6'2", maybe like 200 something pounds. Like he's a big dude, all natural. And I kind of realized after a certain point, after like the first year, second year of like that beginner's growth is what they call it. You can kind of, for some people, if you have like the right genes, you can kind of get away with just like, as long as you just eat somewhat protein, you'll be fine and you'll grow. But then once you hit that plateau, which for me was like, I think 175 or 185 on bench, I was stuck at that for like 4 months, and it like pissed me off. Because up until that point, I would PR almost like every other week. It would just be like another PR, like just growing and growing and growing. And I realized that once you get to a certain point, unless you're gonna like dedicate the other half, which is nutrition and eating, then there's no point, in my opinion, of trying to become like a bodybuilder. If you're not gonna eat, which I've heard from so many people, that once you get to that level, it's like, I forget the percentage, maybe it's like 80-20 or 60-something, whatever. And it's like the bigger half is like eating. Like it's like all of it is eating. Your nutrition, what you eat, all the meals you eat. And after that, I was just like, do I really want to like take this that seriously? And I was like, in my situation, not really. I kind of just want to like look fit, look good, be healthy. And after that point, which is maybe, I want to say junior year of high school or senior year of high school, that's when I was like, I'm just going to continue to work out and stay healthy, but I'm not going to be doing like these crazy meal plans and try to eat 7 meals a day, 6 meals a day, and you know what I mean? So from now it's kind of just more staying fit and trying to keep my physique up. But
yeah, 100%. I was just going to say that I think 90% of it is 3 meals a day with getting some protein, and then it's like, oh, well, you want to get to 92% versus 94, 6, 8, or 100. 90% versus 100%, basically the same thing. It's just like, what is your current thing you're trying to do in life? If you want to bodybuild, well, probably got to do that. But if you want to just look good, feel good, and just, I guess, respect yourself enough to be in shape, probably just 3 meals is fine.
Yeah, exactly. Well, although now it's 2 meals.
Yeah, but I feel like it's just about the protein at the end of the day. And because sometimes I'll have like one huge meal on a rest day, for example, because I'm fasting and it's late at night and I don't like eating before bed because I just feel like heavier. And so sometimes I'll have like a 2,000 calorie meal. I'm talking like 6 eggs, a ribeye steak, a smoothie, like some yogurt or something. And I mean, yeah. I'm not like head over heels bodybuilding anymore like I was, but I am still trying to get better. And when I'm like on the bulk, when I'm eating, 4 or 5,000 calories a day, I don't miss a meal because like I just want to do it, and I know that food is going to translate to strength in the gym. So
yeah.
Have you ever bulked up? Like I've always seen you very lean and.
Yeah. So here's where it gets kind of funny, because I feel like this idea of like all these like, at least all like the people I've been around with like my entire life, like, oh, are you bulking? Are you bulking? Are you this? Like, oh, I'm bulking right now. I always kind of would like say like, oh yeah, like I'm bulking, like I'm eating like a little bit more. It never really hit me until that same guy, Josh, he was like whatever, we were having some sort of conversation or something. And I was like, yeah, like I'm trying to bulk. And he goes, dude, like if you're not like getting to the point where like you need to like force the food down like your throat because of how like you've already eaten enough, but you just have to get that last meal in. Like if you're not like that, you're not bulking. And I was like, okay, like no, I'm not bulking then. No. I'm
it's
eating.
It's not a good feeling.
Yeah, no. Like I just feel like that definition of bulk has kind of been blurred a little bit now. And I think a true bulk, at least when you look at, I mean, I'm not like this like professional or expert that knows everything, but I feel like if you look at like Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like if you look at these guys, like they were not eating, maybe like some of the meals were out of enjoyment, but like if it got to the point, like they were just putting that food down because that's what the nutrition called for, and that's the calorie count that they had to get in for the day. So,
I mean, I think it's easier today because we have like, I mean, I try not to have too many artificial sweeteners or stuff like that, but you can have 0-calorie sweets essentially, and back then that wasn't even a thing. I guess you had like a diet soda, but those people, the Ronnie Colemans, were pretty much eating rice, chicken, maybe some eggs. It was very much bland stuff.
Yeah.